studio. This is Anatomy of a Solo, lesson number 1. This is the BAE Hot Fuzz solo. So what is this video all about? Well, basically what I want to do in these Anatomy of a Solo videos is break down some of these solos that I play in the demo videos that I come up with for guitar pedals. I thought, I'm coming up with all these songs and solos all the time. Why not break apart some of the solos, show you some of the concepts, and some of the different techniques and stuff like that that I use for playing these solos, and maybe you'll get something out of them. So what I want to do is make this kind of loose. I don't want to, not going to break down every single lick that I play or anything like that, or to detail every single note and where I'm playing it or the exact picking pattern or anything. This is more like a loose concept of trying to get a concept of what I was going for every 3 or 4 bars throughout a solo, and I'll kind of break down some of the overall techniques that I was using and stuff like that, and play the licks slower than they're actually played in the solo if there's fast ones, so that hopefully you guys can pick them up and kind of learn them on your own just by following along with the video. Okay, so let's get to it. It is Anatomy of a Solo, lesson 1. This is the BAE Hot Fuzz solo. So there's a lot of influences in this solo. It's a fuzz pedal, so when I'm doing a solo or coming up with a song for a fuzz pedal, I want to make it kind of fun usually. It's either kind of doom rock or stoner rock, or I want to make it indie sounding, or it's going to sound like Sabbath or Queens of the Stone Age, or it's maybe going to sound like, I don't know, Jack White or something like that. So with this one, I don't know, I just had it in a kind of almost like Chuck Berry meets Joe Walsh meets the Queens of the Stone Age direction. That's what I felt like it was headed towards, with maybe a little bit of some Steve Stevens kind of sliding around licks thrown in. The tone with the BAE Hot Fuzz, which I have sitting right over here, is real fat and meaty and cool, and then when you engage the treble booster as well, it's like this mid-poke that's just so cool, almost like you have a stuck wah on or something like that. So it's this really amazing sort of searing guitar tone that's just a blast to play through. I've got my Gillian Bone guitar here plugged into the pedal and right into my Sir SL68, and that's the setup. Okay, let's get on to some instruction. Okay, so here's part 1 of the solo, the first 4 bars basically. The first thing I start with, I wanted to grab you right out of the gate. So I do a thing I do a lot, where I bend a note and then I do a ghost bend on the string right underneath it, and I let it fall. Sounds like this. Okay, so I'm bending up the 8th fret, the note G on the 2nd string, and the next note I hit is the 3rd string at the 7th fret. And it's kind of sloppy. You kind of get 2 strings in there, and it sounds better when it's like that. And you just let that note fall like a ghost bend. And I end up on the note C on the 3rd string. Okay, and the rest of it's kind of Angus Young meets Chuck Berry. So the ghost bend thing's really cool. You can do it all over the neck. Anywhere. I just love that sound where you bend a note and then hit the next adjacent string that's just above it and let that be the note that falls. A really cool trick. Okay. Okay, so this lick's really cool. I love doing this kind of thing. In a diminished sounding, I'm hitting the note A on the 4th string, hitting the flat 5th. If you're thinking about kind of A pentatonic minor, I'm hitting, that E flat note on the 3rd string, and then the A note on the 2nd string, and back to the flat 5th on the 3rd string. This is something that I got from Joe Walsh in the Don Henley Dirty Laundry guitar solo. Okay, so that solo sounds like this at the beginning. Sorry. Joe does this awesome thing where he plays like, it's sort of diminished all the way across groups of 3 string. Within kind of an E blues context. And then he quickly follows up with... It's so cool if you haven't checked it out. Check out the first solo in Dirty Laundry by Don Henley. But it's just such a cool trick. So, and all he's really doing is he's doing this kind of like you can picture it like this, like playing the 12th fret of the low E string, the 13th fret of the 5th string, and then the 14th fret of the 4th. Move that little 3-string pattern then down one set of strings. Like, okay, so that's where I got this from, and I do it all the time. You know, this kind of little diminished thing, and in a sort of pentatonic minor blues context, it can really tweak the listener's ear and just sound really cool. Okay, so it sounds like this. I'll just say one more little thing about that little Joe Walsh diminished lick thing. Something I realized about it is that it's something that I kind of tend to do a lot. And if you'll notice, the rhythm guitars, and I think even the bass, are playing it when it comes around a few times throughout the solo. It's almost like a little hook, like sort of root anchor thing. And I do this in solos sometimes, where it's like, you know, the rhythm guitars are just like chugging away, playing tight eighth notes or whatever, and the solo's going off doing its thing, and then they all come together for a second. They all play like one thing together, and it can be in harmony, or it can be, you know, there's a harmonized lick at the end of the solo too. If you've listened to the full solo in the original demo, that's kind of like a diminished thing that happens at the end. I like to do that stuff where everything sort of coalesces into like one big hook or riff or something like that, including the bass and all the rhythm guitars, and they all support it, and then they all bust back to kind of the rhythm roll or whatever. Well, then the solo takes over and keeps going. I don't really know where I got that from, or if I got it from anyone, or if it's just something that I started doing throughout the course of my own writing and stuff. But I do think it's kind of fun and kind of cool. Like, just give you a little hook and kind of like something for the ear to catch on to for a second, and it's extra powerful because everything's doing it. After that, I hit the the 7th fret of the 3rd string, and I go. Okay. Okay, and that's nothing more than just kind of sort of really playing around with that flat 5th within the context of an A sort of key. So doing that thing. I just thought it sounded really cool, kind of messing around with that, you know, dissonant note, so note E flat within the key of, you know, A. It lends that real sort of it's the blue note. And then I go. Okay, so that's playing the A note, okay, on the 10th fret of the 5th string. And then once again walking down on the high E string from the E flat to the D to the C, flat 5th once again. I really emphasize it. Okay, so far we got. Okay, and once again, anytime you have a chance, like within this sort of ballsy blues rock context, shake a note, you know? As much as vibrato as you can get on there, it's just, you know, sounds salty, it's cool. Okay, okay, now the next lick, I wanted to kind of get out of the blues thing for a minute and lend a more sort of pentatonic, a more diatonic sort of character to the solo. So more like almost like a A Dorian kind of sound. Right? And the second mode. And so I went up. That's the next lick, okay? So I'm sliding up. This is something I do a lot, kind of sliding around on the top 2 strings. Using my 3rd finger and my 1st finger and sometimes my 2nd finger on my left hand. I slide up to the 17th fret on the 2nd string. And I'm hitting the 15th fret on the high E string, the note G. And I go like this. Ending up back sort of in that 5th fret A blues sort of position. But But it's just this fun pattern that you can do where you can kind of slide around on the top 2 strings, and you can move up and down the neck really easily this way through scale patterns. And it has a really cool sound. It's not really that hard to play at all. Okay, so the next lick is basically descending through sort of a mixture of A Dorian and the A blues scale. I play this scale all the time. It starts on beat 2 of the bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, even slower. Now, I'm doing a lot of pull-offs. I'm not exactly sure what I'm picking, what I'm not, but it's a lot of pull-offs. Okay, and after that, you play, I should mention, 4 notes on the 5th string and slide down into the 3rd position. Okay. Followed by that little diminished. And once again, the Joe Walsh lick. And then Keith Richards or something there, sliding up to the 3rd of a C chord, and then hitting these notes on the C chord on the 4th and 3rd strings, and then I go up the 8th position. I do a little Chuck Berry again. Okay, and then back to the B chord position at the 7th position. A little B Chuck Berry there, holding the top 2 strings, barring. And then I'm going to play a B7 chord, actually B flat 7 into B7. Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. So it's a B flat 7 sliding into a B7 triad on the top 3 strings. I got my 3rd finger on the D note, okay, 10th fret of the 1st string, 9th fret of the 2nd string I'm hitting with my 1st finger, and the 10th fret, the note F on the 3rd string I'm hitting with my 2nd finger, making a little B flat 7 chord, and then I'm hitting it and sliding back and forth up into a B7 chord. Something like that. Kind of like Rock and Roll from Led Zeppelin, you know? One of those, you know? Okay, what's that? That's the coolest thing. I saw Phil X do this once at a NAMM show, and I went up to him and I said, dude, you got to show me what that was. What are you doing? And it wasn't necessarily this chord, but basically it's the concept of reaching behind a bend that you're already doing and getting the extra added muscle of your right hand into the bend and pulling up. So let's say if you're doing one of these. I loved it, you know, and I do it all the time. It looks cool and it sounds amazing because you're getting all that extra muscle that you just couldn't push up that chord if you tried with only your left hand, but get your right arm into it. Really, you're just grabbing the strings behind the already fretted stuff and pulling. It looks great. It sounds amazing. So, and then sliding off at the end. And there you have it, Anatomy of a Solo, lesson number 1, the BAE Hot Fuzz solo. I hope you guys enjoyed that breakdown. And yeah, when I come up with a solo in one of these demo videos that I think has some concepts in it worthy of teaching, I will break it down in one of these videos and share it with you guys. All right, please hit subscribe if you haven't, share this video, and if you dug it, and come back and see me for more real soon. I am Pete Thorn, over and out.